I am recording.
Hey,
We
hey.
are recording. All right. Hey, our grand finale is tonight after all. The literal rascals in our adventures with the Get to Work Hercules
Very excited for this.
mythology at its funniest and its most hilarious. So, of course, we've been rolling with Hercules and the posse. You got C, you got Uncle Hades, of course, who's pretty much orchestrating everything. But you got C, you got Hydra, and you have got who else? Y'all, I'm drawing a blank. It's been so busy today. But anyway, Hercules and his posse, and he's almost completed 12 labors. So we are getting into the last few of them. And also, Uncle Hades is really trying to go back home to his lovely wife, Persephone. And so he really wants to be with her for the spring. I'm sorry,
Winter.
Winter.
for the
For
winter.
winter.
Yes, 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 for the winter. So he's trying to wrap up all this, help Hercules with all of his 12 labor shenanigans, and then get on back to Peaphone, is what he calls her. So we are on page 128, chapter 14. This is Roman numerals. Gotta love them. But chapter 14, page 128, Big Girdle. So, with that being said, who wants to go first?
Big who?
Big Girdle.
Got it.
Yes. Babacus, would you like to go
I'm-
first?
I would love to, but I'm pulling it up, so go ahead.
Oh, well, we'll wait for you. Or I can go first. I don't care.
Yeah, my history just got wiped out, and I don't know why it's not coming up.
Oh,
Yeah, it's weird. All right, please go ahead.
okay, then we'll just read until it turns up. So I'll go first. Lily, please go second if you don't mind.
I got you.
You got me? Okay. And then Babacus will go
Then I'll go
third.
third.
And then I have to remember, I go after you, Bob.
Bob.
Yes.
Okay.
And only me.
Lord have mercy. I'm so bad about that, y'all. I'm sorry.
It's funny.
We love you.
I love y'all too. Okay, ready? Chapter 14, Big Girdle. Welcome home, Lord Hades, said Sharon, the old ferryman, as he poled me back across River Styx to my kingdom. Thank you, Sharon. I sighed as I put a gold coin into his hand and drove my steeds off the ferry. Not that I wasn't glad to be home, I was, and I could not wait. I couldn't wait to greet Persephone when she came home the following day. But it was hard, very hard, leaving Hercules and his crew up on Earth to go on their next adventure without me. There was only one thing that could have cheered me up right then, and here he came, bounding toward my chariot, my own underdog Cerberus. He ran and leaped into my lap, giving me the old triple face lick. Okay.
Oh, Serby, I said. I've missed you too. You're my fine dog. 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 It turned out to be a wonderful winter. Persephone and I hung out in the great room, reading in front of the fire. Oh, we took long walks in Elysium among the apple trees. We had several excellent dinners at the Underworld Grill. Yet every time my phone rang, I half hoped it would be Hydra saying that Hercules needed me. But all winter long, she never called. And when spring rolled around, I drove Persephone back up to Earth. So long, Hades, Persephone said when I dropped her off at the little apartment she kept in Athens. It was a cozy winter, don't you think? Perfect, I told her. When she was settled in, I drove my Maybach to look for Hercules. I found him, C, and Hydra as they were leaving the city. They told me that Hercules had finished 2 labors all on his own. I couldn't believe it. For labor, what number is that?
7.
7, thank you. He and his buddies went to Crete, where a bull belonging to King Minos
Okay.
Where a bull belonging to King Minos had gone mad and was running wild, stampeding everything in sight. Hercules chased down the bull and had a good long talk with him in cow. And had a good long talk with him in cow.
Mew, 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 mew.
Then, just for show, he slung him over his shoulders and paraded through the streets of Knossos all the way to King Minos' palace. The crowds cheered him like crazy. At least, that's the way Hercules told it. I wasn't all that sorry that I'd missed labor 8. Hercules had to get rid of the mares of King Diomedes. All they knew about this king was that he was very fond of music, and that he fed his mares on the flesh of mortals, which turned them into savage beasts. Is it power that makes so many mythological kings total wackos, or are they born that way? I've never been able to decide. In any case, Hercules showed up on Diomedes' doorstep. When the king came to the door, Hercules began singing. Do, re, mi, fo, fu, fi, fu. The music-loving Diomedes clapped his hands over his ears and ran away from the awful screeching.
Okay. Hercules chased him to the seashore, singing all the way. The king plunged into the sea and was last seen doing the backstroke off the coast of what later became Spain. Meanwhile, C gathered the mares together, fed them some oats, barley, carrots, flaxseed, a totally healthful vegetarian diet. In only a few days, they calmed down and were content to graze and nibble grass. Okay, and nibble grass. We just picked up labor 9. Hercules told me, I don't have to bring Yuri any weird monster this time. All I have to do is get his queen's girdle. Piece of cake, come on. Whose girdle? I asked, falling into step with them. Hippo, he turned to see, Hippo, who? Hippolyta, she said, queen of the Amazons. Pardon?
Hippolyta. Don't worry about it. Nothing.
Excuse me. I frowned. I don't like it. What's wrong? Said Hercules. I can just ask her for a girdle. It'll be easy. Too easy, I grumbled. There must be a catch. Okay.
I went with them as far as the harbor. It was the off season, so they got an amazingly good deal on renting a big cruise ship, the Warrior Princess, complete with crew. They got ready to sell it to the land of the Amazons. I avoid boat travel whenever possible, so I put my helmet of darkness, poof, and astro travel to Amazon Harbor. That's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I arrived early, of course, so I could check out the place. I'd heard about the land of the Amazons where women ruled and men did all the household chores, but I'd never been there myself. I walked along a riverbank. It was lined with men. Some of them had waded into the water and were washing clothes. Others were beating clothes with rocks, an early form of stain removal. Still, other men were laying clothes out on rocks to dry. Lord Jesus, I walked onto that village. There, men had built fires and set cooking pots over them. Oh my God. They stood staring at the pots, jiggling toddlers on their hips, exchanging recipes and talking about how they hoped the women would return from their hunt with plenty of game. After a few days, I heard the men talking excitedly over their cooking pots about a large cruise ship that had been seen heading for the harbor. I went to meet it, invisibly, of course. As Hercules and
Okay.
company rode,
As Hercules and company rode from the ship, an army of female warriors gathered on the shore. This was the first I'd seen of them. They were all tall and blond. They wore the skins of wild beasts and carried big brass bows and half-moon-shaped shields. Each had a quiver of arrows slung over her shoulder. Leading the troops stood an Amazon who was a head taller than any of the others. She had on a sleeveless fur tunic that hit her just above the knees. Around her waist, she wore a wide golden girdle. No wonder Yuri had asked Hercules to get it for him. It was a stunner, set with diamonds, emeralds, and pearls. I wondered if she'd give it up so easily.
uh,
Greetings, strangers, the tall Amazon called as Hercules, Sea, and Hydra climbed out of the rowboat and waded ashore. I am Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons.
Okay. Hercules stared at her and smiled a goofy smile. Hippolyta was as tall as he was. Her sleeveless outfit showed off some nice-sized biceps. It wasn't hard to tell that Hercules was thinking, here was a girl he could arm wrestle.
You want to wrestle?
you know,
Why have you come to our shore? Asked Hippolyta. Hercules continued to smile. His goofy smile. Sea stepped forward. Greetings, King, he said. We come in peace. Came a chorus of disappointed groans from Hippolyta's troop. Clearly, they'd been hoping to fight a big battle against these strangers. Hippolyta turned to her warriors. Troops, dismiss! The warriors turned and marched off toward the village. Hippolyta turned back to Hercules. How about giving me a tour of your boat? No problem, said Hercules. The two of them raced to the rowboat. We're coming too, shouted Sea. Hydra. Okay.
jumped on his back and they took off after Hercules. After a little disagreement about who would row, Hip Hop sat down, picked up picked up the oars, and rowed quickly to
And
the
you see what
warrior
y'all
prince.
do right.
That's so great.
No one suspected that there was an invisible fifth person aboard. Me. When we reached the ship, everyone climbed up a rope ladder. I followed right behind. Hercules gave a quick tour of the ship. These are the masts, he said, pointing. Tall, said Queen Hip Hop. These are the decks, said Hercules. Flat, said Queen Hip Hop. Rowing made me hungry. What's to eat? A crew member served them lunch. Hercules and Hip Hop sat down and dug in. They eating. I hovered invisibly nearby. helping myself when I saw the chance.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
That's perfect.
After some small talk about how many push-ups he could do and how many chin-ups she could do, Hercules got down to business. I picked the hard path in life, he began. Can I have more chips? Said Hip Hop. So I have to do 12.
Practically impossible labors, said Hercules. Pass the pickles, said Hippolyta. I've run off monsters and cleaned out really yucky stables, said
You gonna
Hercules.
eat your cornbread?
Or your cheese curls? What about them collard greens? You don't want these last cheese curls, I'll take them, said Hippolyta, reaching. Well, for labor 9, I'm supposed to get your girdle, said Hercules. What? Hippolyta swallowed her cheese curls. My girdle? But why? Hercules shrugged. That's just what it said on the slip of parchment. I'm supposed to get your girdle and take it to the king of Mycenae. I don't know. Hippolyta frowned. This girdle was a present from Ares. You know, god of war. Would you bring it back? I could try, said Hercules. Okay, said Hippolyta. She unfastened her golden girdle and handed it to Hercules. Hercules smiled. I told Hades this was going to be easy. Hippolyta shrugged as she grabbed another handful of chips.
Of chips. Look, if I don't get back my warrior, if I don't get it back, my warriors and I sail to Mycenae, set fire to the city, kidnap the king, and bring him back here to scrub the
You gonna
palace
eat your
floor.
cornbread?
Sounds fair to me, said Hercules. Then they settled down to do some serious eating. Hippolyta looked up first. Hippolyta looked up first. What's that noise? She asked. Hercules listened. It sounds like an army rowing this way with clinking spears and clanking battle axes. They jumped up and ran to the side of the boat. I was right on their heels. The harbor was filled with Amazon rowboats. Each boat was filled with Amazon warriors. They were brandishing spears and battle axes and shouting, "Surrender, Hercules!" Okay.
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 25?
15.
15.
Girl, I did that last week. I did that last week.
Did you? Okay. Big goodbye. We're out of here, yelled Hercules. He ran to the ropes and began hoisting the sails. Queen Hip Hop stayed at the railing. What's wrong? She shouted to her warriors. What's going on? But indeed, I joined Hip Hop at the rails. The Amazon boats were closing in. Soon they'd be bumping our hull. Some of the warriors had drawn back their bowstrings. They were ready to fire. Onward, mighty warriors, cried the lead Amazon, pumping her fists in the air and shouting viciously. She wore a horned helmet, but her hair blew out from under it, so I couldn't see her face.
Okay.
How dare they steal our queen? She shouted. How dare they kidnap Hippolyta? Steal? Kidnap? What was this warrior ranting about? Wait a minute. Who was that warrior anyway? I looked harder. That hair. It was Hera.
Dun, dun.
I ran to the ship's wheel. Hercules had grabbed the wheel from a frantic crew member and was attempting to steer the warrior princess away from the Amazon warboats. I whipped off my helmet. Uncle Hades! Exclaimed Hercules. The Amazons are after us! 3 guesses who's leading the chase, I said, and the first 2 don't count. Hercules wrinkled his brow and thought. Okay, so how many guesses is that? Never mind, I shouted. It's Hera. She must have spread a rumor among the Amazons that you've kidnapped their queen. Dang, said Hercules, quickly turning the wheel to the right to dodge a rowboat filled with angry Amazons. I guess getting that girdle isn't so easy after all. Our ship wasn't moving fast enough. The Amazons were catching up.
Okay.
I pulled out my cell phone.
Okay. I pulled out my cell phone. I hit memory dial for my brother, Poseidon. Poseidon?
Poseidon.
Poseidon. Poseidon.
Just Poseidon. Yep.
Poseidon.
Poseidon.
Mhm.
I listened as the phone rang and rang. I hoped I wouldn't get his machine. Ruler of the seas, Poseidon answered at last. Poe! I shouted into the phone. It's Hades. Thank Mount Olympus I reached you. I need your help. Where are you, bro? Asked Poe. I'm on board the Warrior Princess. Excellent vessel, said Poe. We're pulling out of Amazon Harbor. We've got Queen Hippolyta abroad. Oh, I hear she's a real babe. The wind's against us, I shouted into the phone. Is she a babe, Hades? Is she? Yes! I shouted. Listen, Poe, there are about 100 bumploads of angry Amazons chasing us. Are they all babes? Okay.
Pooh, we need help. Do what I can, big bro. Sounds like I should send some waves to swamp them and get a couple of wind guys to speed you away. That would be great, Pooh. Thanks. I looked at the Amazon boats. Hera was in the lead. She was shaking her fist and yelling. I was glad I was too far away to hear what she was saying. Now Hip Hop ran to the wheel. There's an imposter in that first boat, she cried. You must turn back. We must vanquish her. Not a good idea, I said. Hip Hop turned and noticed me for the first time. Who are you? And who asked you? I'm Hades, I told her. And the imposter is Hera. You're strong and you've got big muscles, Hip Hop. But you're no match for a goddess. I hear you, said Hip Hop. But why is Hera doing this? I always sacrifice for her. She's after me, said Hercules. Now how did you offend Hera? Asked Hip Hop. By being born, said Hercules.
Okay.
Said the queen. Not much you can do about that. A sudden gust of wind filled our sails. We began speeding over the waves. All right, shouted Hercules, as we raced across the water and away from the Amazon Navy. At the same time, the sea was roiling with huge waves. They broke over the Amazon warboats, soaking the warriors. At last, the Amazons turned their boats and began rowing for the shore. I owed my bro Poe big time. I must go back and speak to my warriors, said Hippolyta. Tell them about Hera. Hey, what's that? She pointed to something in the distance. I squinted and made out Poseidon's cherry-red sea chariot, pulled by his team of giant sea horses. In no time, he drew up alongside our ship.
Of course he did.
Yes, he did.
Hey, I see the winds I sent did the trick, Poe grinned at Hippolyta.
Okay.
They did,
They
said
did.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They did, said Hercules. Thanks. Hippolyta grinned back at Poe. I'll bet that chariot can really fly. Hop in, said Poe. I'll take you for a spin. You're on. Hippolyta climbed up onto the railing of the warrior princess and leaped into Poe's chariot. She turned back and waved. Goodbye, Hercules, she called. Goodbye. Okay.
No, keep going.
Huh?
Chapter 10, 5, 6. Chapter 16, Big Burn. See you! Hercules waved as Hippolytus sped off with Poe. He watched until they were no more than a red speck on the horizon. Think, he said. Does she like me? She did, Hercules, I said, patting him on the shoulder. I could tell. But it's hard to compete with a god, especially one with a bright red chariot, a little red Corvette.
You know,
At least you got the girdle, said C, coming up to take a turn at the wheel. Hydra made a few hand signals that seemed to mean she ate too much anyway. By the time we reached Mycenae, Hercules had pretty much gotten over Hippolyta. He marched proudly through the city gates, holding,
the jeweled girdle high over his head, showing it to the crowd. All the onlookers oohed and ah. Urine! Hercules called when he reached the palace. Come out of the pot! A girdle can't hurt you. Just put it down, Hercules, Yuri called from inside the pot. I'll have my people pick it up. Then he slid a piece of parchment out through the slot. Here's labor
10.
10. Get to work, Hercules. See, unrolled the parchment.
That's the title.
Holy cow. Huh?
That was the title. Get to work, Hercules.
Oh. Get to work, Hercules. See, unrolled the parchment. Holy cow, he said. More cows. I like cows, said Hercules.
Oh.
Then you'll like this one, said C, and he read, Labor 10. Fetch the red cattle of Geryon and bring them to me. No problem, said Hercules, and the trio turned back toward the city gates. Where's Geryon? Geryon wasn't aware. Geryon was a who. I'd have to tell Hercules about the, oh Lord, Jesus. Stymphalian birds. Stymphalian?
Stymphalian. You got it right.
Stymphalian birds. But I decided not to break the bad news about Geryon. There was just some things that Hercules...
There were just some things that Hercules was going to have to find out on his own. I headed back to my kingdom for a while. When I got a message from Poe that Hercules and company had rented a small ship and sailed almost all the way to the west coast of Iberia, I came invisibly aboard. Woo! It was like an oven on that ship. The sun was beating down. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Hercules stood at the wheel, red-faced and covered with sweat. He was grumbling loudly about the sun and how Helios ought to drive his flaming chariot higher in the sky so it wouldn't be so hot down below. I hardly blamed Hercules. 3 burning hot days at sea in a small boat, and I would have been grumbling too. C was stretched out in the stern, fanning himself. Hydra had squished herself under a seat, the only place she could find any shade. Suddenly, Hercules let go of the wheel. He grabbed his bow, put in an arrow, and aimed it at the sun. "Look out, Helios!" he shouted.
Go ahead and take
Hercules!
my turn, please.
You sure?
Keep going.
"Hercules, don't shoot!" I lunged for him, but I didn't make it in time. He fired at the chariot of the sun. I watched in helpless horror as the arrow rose swiftly into the sky. It struck the flank of one of Helios's steeds. The arrow didn't stick, but the horse reared and whinnied in surprise. The other 7 horses began to buck and whinny too. They snorted flames that shot across the sky, turning it orange. roar like thunder rumbled. Oh, oops. Hercules turned his face up to the sky. Sorry, Helios! Forgive me! At least he had the sense to apologize. But it was too little, too late. Once again, it was UHTTR. I chanted the astro-traveling spell. I found myself clinging to the rear bumper of Helios's chariot. He was going about 200 decamiles an hour. I hung on tight. Ugh, talk about hot. How did Helios stand the heat day after day? I inched forward, hand over hand, and knocked on the passenger side window. Helios leaned over and opened the door.
Okay. Hey! It's air conditioned! I exclaimed as I slid inside. Oh, hey, it's air conditioned! I exclaimed as I slid inside. Shut the door, said Helios, never taking his orange eyes off the sky highway. It can heat up pretty fast. He calmed his steeds by this time. So who's the genius down there taking pot shots at my horses? Hercules, I said. He's got a little temper problem. I explained about Hera, King Eurystheus, and the 12 labors. He's my nephew, Zeus's son. Think you could let this one go? Helios shook his mane of wild orange hair. I don't think so, Hades. No one shoots the sun and gets away with it. Helios, I said. Did I mention that it was Hercules who cleaned out the stables where you kept your 12 white bulls? No kidding, said Helios. Oh, well, that changes everything. My bulls have never been so frisky. But Hades, if Hercules tries anything like this again, I'll give him a sunburn he'll never forget. Okay.
17.
That's right.
Well,
You knowing your numbers.
you got me with the 200 because I was gonna say credit cards. See, glad you had that line, not me. All right, big match. I rode with Helios for a while. The view from his sky chariot was amazing. Then I astro traveled back to Hercules. He and his crew were making their way up Mount Abyss to Gerion's castle. Sorry, Uncle Hades, muttered Hercules. Is Helios's horses okay? He's fine, I said. And Helios has agreed to forgive you this time. Oh, there won't be a next time, Hercules said. I promise. Heads up, shouted C. Looks like Gerion's got a dog. An enormous two-headed dog came rushing at us.
Okay.
Sycamorthus! Geryon shouted angrily from the top of the mountain. Chew him to bits! The monstrous dog was bearing down on us. Both his mouths were open wide. He was snarling, showing row after row of pointed, shark-like teeth. He lashed his mighty tail, tipped with a barbed wrecking blade. Hercules bent his knees slightly, getting in position to grab the dog when it leapt at him. Suddenly, all of Hydra's neck shot out to the full length. She jumped into the dog's path. Kill, Orthus, commanded Geryon. Kill! Hydra stretched her arms wide, and the great snarling beast jumped into them. Orthus began licking head after little head, drooling with happiness to be reunited with his monstrous sister Hydra. Orthus! Yelled Geryon. Bite! Scratch! Destroy! But Orthus just kept licking. I glanced over at Geryon. He was exactly as I remembered him. He called himself the strongest man on Earth. Strong, yes. But man, that was a bit of a stretch.
Starting from the ground up, Garion looked like a man. He had 2 feet, 2 legs, hips, a waist. But then things got a little wonky. 3 torsos sprouted from his waist. Each one had a set of arms and its own head. Garion was also known as 1, 2, 3. He was a triple threat. Hey, Hercules, called one. I'll wrestle you for my herd. You're on, Garion. Hercules started running up the mountain. Now someone stepped up next to Garion. He's my coach, said 2. 3 guesses who his coach was. First 2 don't count. Not that I need a coach, added 3. Uncle Hades, said Hercules, his eyes fastened on Hera. Want to be my coach? Absolutely, I smiled. Hera was a powerful goddess with a grudge, but she knew next to nothing about wrestling, whereas I, Hades, knew just about everything. I put C to work massaging Hercules, okay?
Shoulders. I told Hydra to keep her 18 eyes on Garion, looking for weaknesses. You can take them, I told Hercules. No problem, Sir Hercules. But he didn't sound so sure. Go for 1 or 3, I advised. But try to keep away from 2. If 2 gets you down, 1 and 3 will pile on. Got it, said Hercules. Suddenly, Hydra ran over. She held up 2 fingers. 2 words, said Hercules. Hydra gave him a thumbs up. Then she held up 1 finger and spread her arms wide. First word. Huge, said Hercules. Hydra shook her head. Big, Hercules guessed. Thumbs up from Hydra. Now she held up 2 fingers, pulled her ear and shook her head. Second word. Sounds like, Hercules scrunched his face. Oh, thumbs up again. Big no. Big Joe, guessed Hercules. Big Mo. Big Foe.
Okay.
Hydra shook her head. Big whoa, big bow, big oh. Thumbs up. Hercules glanced over at Garion. He saw a bulge on the front of Garion's left shoe. On it, he said. The wrestlers began circling one another. The way Garion was built, it looked like a tag team match. Suddenly, 2 grabbed Hercules and flipped him onto his back. Hercules wriggled out of the hold and jumped up. He charged across the ring, bounced off the ropes, and catapulted back to Garion, stomping on his left big toe.
We lost you.
Hey, where's that Tom sound effect? Remember when Tom gets slammed? Never mind. Anyway, all
I'm
3
sorry.
torsos hit the mat. Hercules didn't waste a second. He jumped on them and held them down for the count. The winner is Hercules! I held up his hand in victory. Garion stayed down on the mat, moaning and holding his toe. Oh, man, he groaned. I think you popped my blister. For Mount Olympus's sake, Garion, said Hera,
Okay.
clearly disgusted.
With her protege. Get over it. After that, Hercules spoke to Garion's cows, and they agreed to come along to Mycenae. C had some problems finding a ship big enough to hold the whole herd, but at last he was successful, and off they sailed. I wanted to keep an eye on Hercules, so I went too. The only excitement came on the first night of the trip. when we all heard a wild scratching noise coming from under the boat. Rats down below, I'll wager, said the ship's captain. But when he opened the hold, out bounded Orthus, the enormous, the enormous two-headed dog and his nine-headed blob of a sister spent the rest of the voyage together. When Hercules marched through the gates of Mycenae, leading a procession of some MCC red cows, it was quite a scene. The mortals of Mycenae cheered Hercules so loudly that they were all hoarse for a week. Okay.
Yuri, called Hercules when he reached the palace. Labor 10 is done. The slot slid open. Holy cow, Yuri exclaimed. I'll check it off the list.
Okay, keep reading, please.
Okay, chapter 18.
Yay!
Yes.
All right, big chair. All right, here we go. Labor 11. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Go,
Yes.
Leisha. Go, Leisha. Red
Go,
C.
Lily. Go, Lily.
After Yuri had handed him yet another piece of parchment. Bring me the golden apples from the garden of
Hesperides.
Hesperides. Let's go apple picking, said Hercules. With the addition of Orthus, there were four in the party now. It was a formidable looking crew, a larger than life muscle bound hero, a lion, a nine-headed monster, and a two-headed, shark-toothed, barb-wrecking, ball-tailed dog. Off they went to find the garden of the Hesperides. Hercules, I said as I walked invisibly out of the city with them. It's winter again, and I
Okay.
must return home to my underworld kingdom. Just a few words before I go. Okay, Uncle Hades, said Hercules. Whatever. Not whatever, Hercules, I said. Pay attention. This is important. Very important. The Garden of the Hesperides is a long way from here, on the slope of Mount Atlas. The Titan, Atlas, is the only one around who knows the exact location of the garden. You'll have to go to him and ask him to tell you. Now here's the tricky part. The tree that bears the golden apples belongs to Hera. Figures, said Hercules. Our Granny Gaia, Mother Earth, gave the tree to Hera as a wedding present when she married Zeus, I went on. Hera loves this tree so dearly that she set a huge 100-headed dragon to guard her precious apples. No problem, said Hercules. Hercules, I said, this won't be. I turned to C and Hydra. Whatever he does, he must not pick the apples himself. Got it?
Okay. Got it, said C. You have my phone number, I said. Got it, said C again. Don't worry about us. Have a good winter, Hades. I headed back down to the underworld. To tell you the truth, I'd had enough of Hercules and his labors by now. All I wanted was to spend the winter sitting beside Persephone in front of a roaring fire with Circe at our feet. I was a week late getting home. Persephone was already there, and she was all upset. Thank Mount Olympus you're here, she exclaimed. What's wrong, Peepone? I'd never seen her so rattled. Two mortal heroes are here in the underworld, Hades. Mortals? Impossible. They're not allowed in my kingdom. Cerberus would never let them in. Would you, Circe? I eyed my guard dog of the underworld. But he was suddenly very busy licking his flank. Persephone folded her arms across her chest. Okay.
They're here, Hades, And what's more, they sing under my window every night. Then one of them recites love poems. My mouth dropped open. I was shocked, couldn't speak. Persephone wasn't much of a kidder, but surely she was joking. Hades, said Persephone, twinkle in her eye now. I have suitors. Wait until tonight. You'll hear from them yourself. That night, Persephone climbed into bed, sat in a chair beside the bed, waiting. Sure enough, I heard a rustling in the bushes below the bedroom window. Then two male voices began to sing. My love for you is like goat cheese, darling mine. Hey, it grows better with age and goes well with red wine.
Sing it again. Sing it again. Sing it again. Come on.
My love for you was like goat cheese,
Goat cheese.
darling of mine.
Mine.
It grows better with age and goes well with
With
red
wine.
wine. That was all I needed to hear. I stuck my head out the window. Suitors, I called. What fine singing. Persephone is overjoyed to hear it. Yes, she is.
Okay.
Hades, Persephone whispered. I am not. Hades? Said one of the suitors. Oh no, said the other. You said he was up on Earth. Peered into the night. Theseus? I exclaimed. Is that you? Said Theseus. Yeah. Come, I told him. You and your friend. Meet me around the back of the palace on the porch. We need to talk. I met them and ushered them onto the porch. I seldom sit there, but it was right for just this occasion. The porch ceiling is made of braided asphodel vines. Leaves hang down from it. Everything is moist and very mossy. I sat down on my old wooden throne. I motioned for Theseus and his friend to sit opposite me in a big, double-sized chair. Sorry, Hades, muttered Theseus. Oh, you were just having fun, I said. Who's your friend? The other mortal spoke up. I am Pierithus, he said. You are the dreaded ruler of the dead. I know you could kill me in an instant, but danger does not frighten me. I am in love with Lady Persephone.
Okay.
That makes two of us.
I said. It was hard not to laugh. What did this little pipsqueak mortal think he was anyway? Theseus, I said, shaking my head. After all I did to help you? Did you? Said Theseus. I can't remember. Theseus always was the world's most forgetful hero. When I was traveling with him, he'd forget his sandals if they weren't strapped onto his feet. But he was about to bring you meaning to the word I forget. I'll bet Hermes told you about the shortcut down to my kingdom. Yeah, that sounds right, Hades, said Theseus. But I'm not sure. And did you think you could help your friend lure Persephone away from me? Theseus thought hard. At last he said, I forget. I turned to Pierithos. What about you? I said. Did you think your love songs would win Persephone's heart? Okay.
I can't say, said Perithal. He looked terribly confused. I stood up from my throne. Sit there and think about it for a while. No, said Theo. I have deeds to do. What deeds? I asked. He wrinkled his brow. I can't remember exactly what they are right now, but there are deeds, said Perithous. We must be at them. I watched them struggle to rise from that stone chair. Oh, but they were struck fast. But they were stuck fast. You are sitting in the chair of forgetfulness, I told them. You could never rise without my permission. The longer you sit there, the less you will remember. In fact, 10 minutes from now, you won't remember that I told you this. I turned to go. Come back, called Theo, whoever you are. But I left them there in their muddled thoughts. Persephone was sitting up in the bed when I got back to our room. Your suitors are on the porch, I told her. I sat down on the side of the bed and unbuckled my godly sandals. I don't think they'll bother you with their love songs again. Persephone smiled. Thank you, boo. You're all the suitor I need. Oh, I almost forgot. You had a phone
Okay.
call.
From Hydra. I'd told her to call day or night. She'd picked night. What did she say? She needs you to come to the base of Mount Atlas on the double. I buckled up my sandals again. I'll take care of this fast, Persephone. Then I'll come back here for the whole winter. No interruptions, I promise. Oh, sure, Hades, Persephone said. As I hurried away, she called, Good luck! Mount Atlas was on Earth, but I knew a way to get to its base through a remote part of my kingdom. I hitched up my steeds and quickly drove to it. By the time I got there, rosy dawn had dawned. I could see the Titan Atlas. He was bent way over under the weight of the sky, which he held on his broad shoulders. Holding up the sky was Atlas's punishment for being the captain of the Titans' kickstone team in the long-ago match against the gods. The game had gotten rough enough to wreck the earth and crack one of the 4 pillars that held up the sky. That's why Atlas had to hold it. I hadn't seen Atlas in a long time. As I approached him now, he looked smaller than I remembered. I guessed all that weight pressing down on him had taken its toll, but as I drew closer, I saw that I'd been wrong. It wasn't Atlas holding the sky on his shoulders. It was Hercules!
Dun
Okay.
dun!
Dun, dun. Chapter, let me see, 10, 9. Chapter 19?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big Apple. Hercules' face turned beet red from the effort of holding up the sky. Here comes Hades, C told Hercules as I approached. He and Hydra were standing helplessly beside our hero. He'll know what to do. I reined in my steeds. Let me guess. I said, You found Atlas, you felt like showing off, and said you'd hold the sky for him if he'd go pick that golden apple for you. Yeah, something like that, Hercules grunted. And Atlas hasn't come back, I added. Right, said Hercules. Oh, but he will, said C. He gave his word. Hydra began pointing excitedly to the south. Okay.
I turned to look, and there came Atlas. He was whistling happily as he walked, juggling the 3 golden apples. Let me do the talking, I told the others as Atlas drew near. Hello, Atlas sang out. Anyone could see how happy he was to be free and walking around again. Greetings, Atlas, I called. So, you picked the golden apples. I thought the apple tree was guarded by a fierce, many-headed dragon. How did you manage it? I waited until the dragon fell asleep, said Atlas. He looked over his shoulder as if something might be coming after him. Then he turned to Hercules. Listen, why don't I take these golden apples to the king for you? Tell him again, Which king is it? King Eurythmics, I said quickly. That's so nice of you, Atlas. Could you do me a favor, though, before you go? Happy to, said Atlas. I jogged back to my chariot and picked up a lap blanket.
I jogged back to my chariot and picked up the lap blanket I always carry in case there's a chill. I ran back with it to the others. Hercules isn't as mighty as you, Atlas, I said. No mortal is, he agreed. He isn't used to holding so much weight, I added, as I folded the lap blanket in two. I'd like to put this on his shoulders. You know, give him a little patting. Atlas nodded. Good idea. You're the only one strong enough to hold the sky for a minute while I slip this onto his shoulders, I said. Would you mind? Not a bit. Atlas put down the apples. Then he stood to the right of Hercules and bent down. Hercules leaned to the right, and the sky rolled off his shoulders and onto Atlas's again. Oh, exclaimed Hercules, as he slowly straightened up again. That was heavy. You'll get used to it, said Atlas, who still hadn't caught on. Not really, said Hercules. He picked up the golden apples. See you, Atlas. Deuces. And he and his party started off toward Mycenae.
Stop.
Hey.
Okay. Hey, wait, called Atlas. Come back. Come back. Oh, man.
Jive turkeys?
Oh,
Stop,
man.
turkey. He got punked.
Man.
I felt sort of bad tricking Atlas like that. But Hercules couldn't have stood that way for very long. It would have collapsed. Then the sky would have fallen, and what a mess that would have been. Coming with us to see the king, Hades? Asked C. No, I don't. I stopped. What's that funny smell? Whoa, said Hercules. He was staring at something to the south. Orthus gave a deep double growl. I turned and saw what he saw, a dragon. Oh, it had many heads and many fang-filled mouths, all of which were open wide. It came slithering toward us. Uh-oh, said C. Let's get out of here. But Hydra put out a hand to stop him. Then she waddled toward the dragon as fast as her little flipper feet could. Orthus suddenly stopped growling. He bounded toward the dragon, okay?
Don't tell me, she said. Another family reunion. Exactly. Ladon, the many-headed, funky-smelling dragon, was Hydra and Orthus' brother. Once more, there was a festival of licking and hugging and tail wagging. Hydra signed to us that Ladon wished to go visit King Eurythmics with them. After Hercules gave the king the apples, Ladon planned on getting them back and taking them home to the garden of. I keep wanting to say herpes. Hesperados. Good luck, Hercules, I told him, giving him a godly slap on the back. So just one labor to go? Aren't you coming, Uncle Hades? He asked. No, I said. I have to get home. I know you can handle whatever the last labor is. And if you run into any problems, Hydra held up the little phone. You see how I kept my promise to Persephone? I went straight back home. That night, my first lieutenant, Hypnos, built us a great fire in the fireplace. For the next few, we sat in easy chairs each evening after supper. Talking and reading.
Talking and reading. Sometimes the Furies joined us before they went out avenging. And every night, Serby lay by the fire, resting his heads on his paws, snoring softly. We were the picture of contentment. Then one night, there was a knock at the door. I heard Hypnos hurrying down the hallway to answer it. A moment later, he poked his head in through the door of the den. "Visitors, Lord Hades," he said. Then, in a whisper, he added, "Mortals." "More suitors for you, P-Phone?" I joked, as I got up out of my chair. "Serby, you stay and guard Persephone, just in case." I wondered what I'd done to Hermes that he had started telling mortals how they could get into my kingdom via my cave shortcut. I made a mental note to talk to him as I headed for the door. And to my great surprise, there stood Hercules. Hey there, Uncle Hades," he said. "Cool palace." Beside him stood C and the three monsters.
Okay. Come in, I said wearily. Say hello to Persephone. And I led the way back to the den. Persephone, as always, was the perfect hostess. She'd already called down to the kitchen and asked the serving ghost to send up some snacks. Mortal food for Hercules and C, ambrosia-laced snacks for Hydra, Orthus, and Ladon. Ladon. She served them. It's one of those three.
It's Layden, but that's okay.
It's
all
all
of them work.
three.
All of them work. It's all good.
All of them work. There we go. She served them each a little plate, and they were all charmed by her. Of course, when Serby saw three of his siblings come waddling, bounding, and slithering into the den, he leapt for joy. Once more, there was much licking. Hold up, y'all. Let me get the licking here.
Oh,
There
really?
was-
There's licking.
There was much licking. Nope, that's not it. Okay. Anyway, there was much licking, etc. Serby was so much smaller than his sister and brothers, I figured he'd been the runt of the litter. Still, Serby suited me fine. I wouldn't have traded him for any big ferocious dog, no matter how many heads it had. Echidna's
baby.
offs. That's right.
My little Serby
My
baby.
booby. Echidna's offspring ran and jumped and frolicked about so much that at last I opened the back door and shooed them all outside where they could behave like, well, monsters. All right, I said to Hercules and C when things had calmed down. Why are you here? Okay.
Why y'all keep giving me these numbers? Labor 12.
That's right,
Sexy.
because you're learning them.
Woo!
I see it. You have to bring King Yuri something from my kingdom? Hercules nodded. Gems from my caves, I asked. Silver from my mines? Gold? Name it, it's yours. You won't like it, said C. I'm not overly attached to my possessions, I said. Whatever I have, you take it. It's Cerberus, said Hercules. King Yuri wants your dog. You want me to keep going?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Y'all just want to hear me struggle with this number. Chapter 20. Chapter 20.
There you go.
You got it. Big
Bingo!
dog.
Oh, yeah. Dog barking. Bite.
Oh.
Come here, big dog. Come here, big dog.
No,
Big dog.
I said. He can't have my dog.
You can't have my dog. You can't have my boo-boo. You never gonna get my boo-boo.
Come on, Uncle Hades, said Hercules. No, I said again, no. It's my last labor, Hercules told me. I've got to take Serby to Yuri. Over my dead body, I told him. And when an immortal says that, it means never. These mortals. First one wanted him a queen. Now one wanted him a dog. What was next? My wrestling girdle from the first Olympic Games? God dog. I was about to say no again when the monster scampered back in. Hydra began singing with C interrupting. Finally, signing. Hydra began signing.
Interpreting.
Okay, with C interpreting. Finally, C turned to me. Hydra says Theo is sitting out on the back porch.
Okay.
Theseus? Hercules jumped up. Is he a ghost? No, I said. Truthfully, I'd forgotten all about those two, sitting in a chair of forgetfulness. You want to see him? Come on. I led the way around the palace to the porch. Dude, Theseus! Exclaimed Hercules. Theseus looked up, puzzled. Who are you? He asked. Hercules turned to me. What's wrong with him? I explained about the chair of forgetfulness and why I'd put these mortals there. Oh, you must let Theseus go, Hercules said. Do it for me, Uncle Hades. Please. All right, I said. You can take Theseus, but his pal stays here. And so does Serby. Hercules held his hand out to Theseus. I gave my permission, and the chair released him. Theseus took a long look at Hercules. I know you from somewhere, he said. Hercules clapped him on the back. Then he turned to me. Come on, Uncle Hades, he said.
Okay.
I have to do labor 12.
Okay. I have to do labor 12. Let me have Cerberus. I'll take good care of him. All right, I said. But I'm coming too. And no way is that wimpy kid keeping my dog. I had to break it to Persephone that I was taking one more little trip up to Earth. Then I called the dog. Come on, Serby. Want to go for a ride? This time when Hercules and all his hangers-on walked through the gates of Mycenae, the crowd cheered, whistled, and stomped to honor him. Okay, I don't have that. All right. Everyone knew. Yay! Y'all say yay!
Yay!
Hercules.
Everyone knew that this was Hercules' final labor, and they'd come to cheer their favorite hero. And what a strange procession the hero and his posse made. 2 muscle-bound heroes, for Theseus had come along as well, a lion, and 4 monsters. I was there too, but helmeted. Hercules stopped outside the palace. Yuri! He called. Come and see Cerberus, guard dog of the underworld. Come out, wherever you are, for I have finished my labors, okay?
The slot opened. Where's the dog? Said Yuri from inside the pot. I can't see him. Go on, Serby. I gave him an invisible nudge. Show yourself to the king. Where is he? Yuri was saying. If I can't see him, it doesn't count. You will have failed, Hercules. Doggone it. 11 out of 12 labors doesn't cut it.
Congratulations.
Yay!
You're learning Roman numerals. That's really impressive.
Cerberus tilted his head, listening as the king ranted on and on. He stepped up from the big bronze pot. And then, before my eyes, Cerberus started growing. He grew and grew until he was 10 times his normal size.
Yeah.
And still, he kept expanding like a huge dog balloon. His little paws grew to the size of a bear's feet with long, menacing claws. Spikes popped out along his spine and all down his tail.
That's all I had left, y'all.
That's all good.
Okay.
That's really good.
Yeah, popcorn. Serby's 6 eyes glowed like red hot coals as he peered down into the great bronze pot. Then he let out a triple growl that rattled the pot like an earthquake. At this point, I was pretty sure I didn't have to worry about Yuri wanting to keep my dog. Stop! No! Down! Dogs! Whimpered Yuri, who
Okay.
must have been looking up from inside the pot. Hercules! Pull them off! Not my dog, said Hercules. Cerberus still towered over the pot. Don't eat me! Don't piss on me! Cried Yuri. I'll give you my servants! You can eat them! Derby shoved the pot with its front legs. The pot crashed over onto its side. Then Serby butted it with all three heads. The pot started rolling. It rolled slowly at first, but as it started rolling down the hill, it picked up speed. It rolled faster and faster and faster. Inside, Yuri was yelling and screaming. The pot acted as a huge bronze megaphone, and his voice echoed so loudly that everyone for miles around could hear him shrieking and whimpering as he rolled down the mountain. The crowd stood still and watched the pot grow smaller and smaller as it rolled. Finally, it rolled off a cliff and splashed into the ocean,
Squish.
where it was quickly carried out to sea. And that was the last anyone saw of King Eurystheus ever. I was so intent on watching the pot that I missed seeing Serby shrink back down to his normal guard dog of the underworld size.
Okay. But later, C told me he looked very much like a balloon with a leak. Now the crowd began to cheer for Hercules. Y'all cheer again.
Hercules!
Hercules! Hercules!
He's the greatest of all time!
Yes!
Hercules!
He'd keep going. He'd worked hard for years
He
and
never
he
skips
completed
leg day.
12 all but
Hercules.
impossible labors.
He's the strongest man
Okay,
in the
he had a
world.
little help, but still, he was a big hero, and this was his big moment. He strutted outside the palace, waving, flexing his muscles, and generally showing off all of the other mortals. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm gonna do that again. Here we go.
You found it.
There we go. Now play it again. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna find another one for y'all.
That was good. We like that.
Oh,
That's the
you
Hercules sound of
like that
Mycenae.
one?
Of course,
Okay.
that's Hero of Mycenae.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get it again then. Here we go.
Spread it outside the palace.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Wait,
He
hold
strutted
on.
outside the palace.
Hold on.
Wait, never mind. It's your turn.
Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead, Lee.
He strutted outside the palace, waving, flexing his
Alicia.
muscles,
It's Alicia's
and
turn.
generally showing off for all the other mortals. It was my turn. That was my turn.
It's my turn. It's my turn.
It was my turn. It was my
Let her
turn.
read.
Suddenly, a bright white light flashed in front of the palace, and there stood. Hold on, y'all. Okay, hold on, y'all.
Look at all the audio in here.
I know.
This girl's gone
Okay.
crazy.
Okay.
There stood.
I mean, she's downloaded half of YouTube
there,
onto her computer.
There stood Hera. My godly
We love
heart
it.
sank. Could she not give him a few minutes to enjoy himself before she inflicted her next torture?
Ah.
Hercules, said Hera. Hercules had enough sense to bow down to her. You've done well, Hera went on, and you have suffered enough. What? Could I believe my ears? Had Hera really said that? Because you have done so well at your labors, okay?
I, Hera, have convinced the other 11 power Olympians that you are worthy to become an immortal. Awesome, said Hercules. You may live up on Mount Olympus, Hera went on. Whoa. High five here. High five there. If Hera loaded on one more good thing, she'd use up his entire vocabulary.
We're almost
and,
finished, y'all.
and said Hera, you may have the hand of my own daughter in marriage. Here it was. I'd been waiting to see what Hera was going to get out of. Wait a minute. Okay, we're going to read this. Get out of this. She was goddess of marriage, and she had an unmarried daughter. It must have been getting embarrassing. Oh, great and awesome goddess, said Hercules, not really sure how he should address her. Okay, let me do that again. Oh, great and awesome goddess, said Hercules, not really sure how he should address her. I thank you for your great gifts and generous offers, but, now I really couldn't believe my ears. But, Hercules continued, I chose the hard path. I have not walked all the way down it yet. There are more monsters to be slain.
Okay.
More mortals who still need the help of a hero like me, he grinned. I was ready for Hera to slap 12 more labors on him. Again, she surprised me. The deal stands, Hera told him. When you are ready, send me word, and I shall keep my promise. A white light flashed again. Any zip sound? And Hera was gone.
Oh, my bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I was looking for the other song. I was looking for the other song. I'm sorry.
A white light flashed again. And Hera was gone. As soon as she vanished, the crowd turned to Hercules and went totally crazy. I never knew mortals could make so much noise. Hercules had said no to immortality. He was going to stay on Earth to help the little people. There's no better definition of a hero than that.
We don't need another hero.
Now I understood that Hercules didn't need help from his Uncle Hades anymore. He'd be just fine on his own. I reached over and tapped him on the shoulder. It's been fun, Hercules, I told him. Keep in touch. No problem, Uncle Hades, Hercules said. And thanks. Thanks for everything. I was sort of glad he didn't really know what everything was.
Okay.
Bye, C.
Keep going.
Bye, Hydra, I said. So long, Orthus and Ladon. Come on, Serby, let's go. My dog made the rounds, saying goodbye to his siblings, and then ran to my side. I picked him up, and we landed beside my chariot. Home, Harley! Home, Davidson! I called.
Picture this.
Oh, damn. Go ahead.
And I steered my steeds toward the cave shortcut to the underworld. I was going home. And the next time I saw a cute baby, I planned to run away from it as fast as I could. The end.
Hercules, hero of song and story.
All right.
Hercules,
Yes.
hero of ancient glory, fighting for the right,
That was
fighting
great.
with his might, with the strength of 10 ordinary men. Hercules, people are safe when near him. Hercules,
Love it.
evil,
Totally love this outro.
softness in his
Right.
eyes, iron
And I know the song.
virtue
You do?
in his heart,
Yes.
iron every part of
Yeah,
the
that's an old
mighty
60s cartoon.
Hercules.
I
Yeah.
remember the reruns on that.
Yeah. I saw him in reruns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh,
This and the
right.
Herculoids and the Space
Yeah.
Ghost and Johnny Quest.
Right.
Yeah, I remember this. And Aquaman.
All of that.
Yep, I remember this. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I do not remember that one.
Well,
I don't.
this was definitely not many
No.
people saw this one.
No.
This is definitely
I
the
don't remember.
not
And
one.
then there was
I
another
watched it.
one
Well, remember, Alicia, she's 30. So, you know, this is way before her time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is way before her time.
Mhm.
Way.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
All right.